All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're doing a crucial intelligence briefing on a conflict that is literally reshaping our world as we speak, the new Silicon Cold War. We're going to go way past the headlines to really understand how the internet itself is splitting in two, creating a brand new kind of global battlefield. This quote from the source material just nails it, right? It perfectly captures what's at stake here. This isn't about getting clicks or making something go viral. It's about who controls information, who controls thought, and ultimately who controls the future. It's a fight for what's being called cognitive sovereignty. We're living in an age of what the source calls AI slop, just a never-ending flood of low-quality, machine-generated noise. And in that kind of environment, the real war isn't for your attention second by second. No, it's for your understanding of the bigger picture. Having strategic clarity, that has become the most valuable weapon of all. And this, right here, is the central idea for today. We are watching the birth of a bifurcated internet. Two completely separate ecosystems, each with their own rules, their own tech, their own philosophies. And they're both competing for global dominance. This is the new Cold War, and it's being fought with satellites, algorithms, and data. Okay, so every war needs a battlefield. And in this new war, it all starts with the nuts and bolts, the fundamental infrastructure. If you can control the cables, the satellites, and the data centers, well, then you control how information itself moves around the world. Let's look at a key tactical move here. Starlink moving into Vietnam isn't just about giving people faster internet. It's a massive geopolitical play. I mean, it's projected to boost the country's digital GDP by 2.5% in just 1 year. That's huge. It's connecting these remote regions that were left out before and creating a whole new hub for innovation. But, and this is a huge but, this economic boom comes at a price. It really shows the incredibly tough choices that nations are having to make now. Vietnam is making what the source calls a strategic sacrifice. They're trading control over their own data and infrastructure in exchange for that rapid growth. And this is becoming the playbook, the new kind of algorithmic diplomacy being used all over the world. So we've talked about the physical layer, the satellites and cables. Let's move up the stack to the cognitive layer. Because once you're connected, the very next battle is for your mind. It's for your preferences, your tastes, and your cultural worldview. Over in the East, ByteDance is pioneering this with something called Dubao 2.0. And let me be clear, this is not just another chatbot. The source calls it a lifelong agentic companion. It's running on what they call emotional resonance algorithms, which are designed to literally anticipate your needs, your tastes, even your moods. So what's the end game here? It's kind of brilliant in a way. By creating this incredibly personalized and convenient experience, ByteDance is building what you could call a soft firewall. The users inside its ecosystem, they just don't feel the need to go looking for information on outside platforms anymore. It becomes a cognitive empire that gently shapes the culture of billions of people, and it does all this without a single piece of obvious censorship. It just reduces Western digital influence by making it irrelevant. All right, now we get into the really shadowy stuff, the dark ops part of this war. A whole new front has opened up, and this one is all about high-tech espionage. It's targeting the actual brain of AI models, and it threatens to grind innovation to a halt. The key weapon in this secret war is something called algorithmic distillation. The easiest way to think about it is it's like photocopying the brain of your competitor's AI. You're not stealing the code itself. You're stealing its unique way of thinking, its reasoning process, the very thing that cost billions of dollars to create. So how does a heist like this actually go down? Well, it's a three-step process. First, you infiltrate. You just bombard a target model, say from OpenAI, with millions of really cleverly designed questions. Second, you reverse engineer. You analyze all those answers to map out how it thinks. And finally, you replicate. You use that stolen logic to train your own model, and you get similar performance without that massive R&D investment. And this is exactly what DeepSeek has been accused of doing. So OpenAI's countermove is absolutely fascinating. They've developed something called logical watermarking. It's basically a form of neural encryption. What they do is embed these hidden mathematical signatures inside their AI's answers. So if a competitor scrapes that data for training, these watermarks act like a virus, subtly corrupting and degrading the performance of the stolen model from the inside out. It's a full-blown mathematical arms race over who owns the very concept of reasoning. Now, beyond all the cloak and dagger stuff, there's also just a flat-out race for raw power. This is about who can build the biggest, the fastest, and the most efficient AI models on the planet, period. So, the big question is, who's actually winning this race? Who is building the superior mind right now? Let's take a look at the specs for the latest titans that have just been released. Okay, so this is a head-to-head of the giants. You've got Google's Gemini 3 DeepThink, which is an absolute monster when it comes to math reasoning, 98.5% accuracy. But then look over at Z.AI's GLM-5. It has nearly perfect 99% contextual understanding of Asian languages, which is incredible. And then there's its speed. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Look at the sheer speed of GLM-5. We're talking 120 tokens per second. That's revolutionary, especially for running on mobile devices. It proves it's not just about being the smartest, it's about being the most efficient and the most accessible. This whole watts per token war is fast becoming a critical battlefront. So facing all this intense competition, OpenAI wasn't just going to sit back and watch. They've unleashed their own game changer. And it's not just another update to ChatGPT. It's a completely new model called Codex Spark, which they're calling an autonomous software architect. And the impact of this is just seismic. One analyst basically laid out this ultimatum. You either learn to work in the strategic AI layer, supervising these AI agents, or you risk becoming totally obsolete. We're talking about systems that can take a complex goal, act independently, analyze thousands of lines of code, find bugs, and suggest secure patches in seconds. Work that used to take entire teams of humans weeks. And don't think for a second this is just some far-off theory. It's happening right now. The real-world impact is staggering. Companies that are already using this kind of agentic AI are seeing a 60% reduction in their time to market. 60%. Trying to compete with that the old-fashioned way is becoming nearly impossible. Okay, so let's zoom out and put all these pieces together. These different battles over infrastructure, over our minds, over logic, over raw power, they are all drawing a brand new map of the digital world. And this is what it boils down to, the bifurcated internet. You've got two very clear sides emerging. On one side, you have the Western sphere. It's focused on things like AGI safety and protecting intellectual property, and it controls the high ground with orbital hardware like Starlink. On the other side, you have the Eastern sphere. It's all about mass-scale consumer deployment and hyper-efficient algorithms, which we see in the Daobao and DeepSeek ecosystem. These two worlds are just drifting farther and farther apart, creating a new silicon wall. All those neutral zones in between, they're becoming the new battlegrounds for influence. And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question to think about. As this new world order solidifies, which ecosystem will you be operating in? Which side of the wall are you on?